Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Lawrence Front podcast. I am Lawrence Front. Listen, I want to talk to the brothers today. I want to talk to the brothers that are failing. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I want to help you understand why you're failing as a man. Listen, I know our ego gets in the way. We want to believe that we're winning in all things. And it's good to want to win in all things, but it's a problem to think you're winning in areas that you're losing. I'm really talking to the brothers who are expecting a certain type of result from life and they're not getting that type of result, whether it be relationships, business, or just personal results. And I really want you to focus on personal development because I believe as a man, you should work on yourself before you work on other things. Meaning, if you want to be a better father, be a better man. You want to be a better husband, be a better man, right? You want to be a better business person, be a better man, because all of these roles stem from the type of man that you are. These roles are extensions of you. And so if your manhood is weak, then your fatherhood is going to be weak. Your husbandhood is going to be weak. Your business is going to be weak. And so you strengthen yourself, you sharpen yourself as an individual man, then all these other areas will be strengthened. So here are the 3 reasons why you are failing as a man. Reason number 1, voice. When I say voice, I'm not talking about tone or pitch. I'm talking about messaging, finding your voice. In other words, what is the message that you're trying to put out there into the world? A lot of brothers have not considered what their overall messaging is. They think messaging is just for branding purposes, or messaging is just for preachers or speakers, or messaging is for social media. But the truth is, your voice is how you show up everywhere that you go. What do you want people to see? What do you want people to hear? When you step in the room, what do you represent? When you have your voice clear, when you clarify your voice, it impacts how you dress, how you walk, how you speak, what you speak about. It addresses what you entertain, what you don't entertain, who you entertain, who you let go. Your voice has to be clear. And why isn't our voice clear? Because for a lot of us, we was never taught that we are a walking message. Nobody ever told us that where we go and how we show up, there is a message that is alongside with that. Some of us, we lost our voice because when we used to be our authentic self, we were shamed or we was chastised. We got in trouble. And so we started to silence our voice to appease other people. For some of us, we don't have clarity in voice because we're looking how other people get recognition and we envy the attention that they're getting. And so as boys, we assume if we look like them and we talk like them, then we'll get what they're getting. But I hope you're grown enough to realize that if you try to look like somebody else and you try to talk like somebody else, you will fail every time because you're not them. You can never be as good in being them as they are in being themselves. And you will be the best at being you if you can learn how to own your voice. So I want you to consider, what message have I been bringing out to the world? What have I been producing or delivering to the world? Some of you, your voice has been timid or shy or weak or lacks confidence, and everything around you has been responding to your voice. Not the words that you've been saying or not the image that you've been trying to portray, but the fact that you've shown up and you doubting yourself. Or you show up and you're scared to take up the space, which is what masculinity is really about. You need to learn the clarity of your voice. And that takes time. You have to really, to have a clear voice, you have to have a clear understanding of who you are and who you want to be. Notice the difference. Who you are, meaning where you are right now. If you have an inflated perspective of self, or if you have a degraded perspective of self, then your voice will never be clear because you're afraid to address the actual you. The beauty is No matter who you are today, you can be somebody new today. You can make the choice to say, I'm going to show up as the person that I want to be, not the person that I've been, because the person that I've been hasn't been getting the results. But how are you going to get there if you don't know where you are right now? It's like the GPS system. Have you ever lost signal while driving and you made a wrong turn? The GPS can't even help you get back on track because it can't find where you are. And likewise, you haven't been changing in the ways that you want to change because you've been running from your true self. You've been scared to face what you think is your demon. I want to encourage you, brother, and say if you discovered your true self, you'll realize that you're no demon at all, but you're a divine being, and your only job is to clarify the voice of that divinity. Number 2, vision. Vision is different from voice. Notice, voice, vision. Vision is what you see. Vision is not what they see, it's what you see. And some people, some men, are so preoccupied about what everybody else is seeing that they never really zero in on what they're seeing. Like blurry vision, the problem with blurry vision is that you see something, you just don't see it clearly. I need you to get this. Some of you have been walking around with your glasses off. So you can see where you're going, but you really can't see where you're going. You have a general idea, but you haven't really narrowed it in. And I'm going to tell you why you've been avoiding clarifying your vision. Because you're scared of failure. As long as you have a broad understanding of where you're going, you feel like success is more attainable. This is why you're failing. Because success comes when the vision is clear. In order to be successful, you have to be comfortable embracing failure. In other words, you need to step into the space saying, if I don't reach this, I failed. That's the only way that you'll be successful, because then you'll do everything that is necessary to get to the desired goal. But how are you going to get there if you have no vision? And let me be clear, I'm talking about the vision of yourself. We like to take on roles, a father, a husband, a businessman, because in our minds it's easy to create vision with things outside of ourselves. I want to challenge you to sharpen your vision of who you are and where you want to be first. And then when you take on these other roles, you make sure that those roles are in alignment with your vision. And everybody's not going to see what you see. In fact, most people won't see what you see until you get close to the end. It's not about whether or not they see it. It's about whether or not you see it. And if you fail to sharpen that vision, then you're going to fail at succeeding in anything. In fact, for a lot of you, can we really have this conversation? You're inflating your wins to feel better about yourself, to boost your esteem. So you're inflating your wins, but you're really failing. You're not hitting the mark that you feel inside. You haven't taken that feeling and converted it to some clarity of vision. Because in your mind, it's like, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm not homeless or I'm not on drugs. Like, you find these weak victories to convince yourself that you're doing better than what you're doing. You haven't made it until you have that clear vision. You can say, okay, I'm working towards becoming this. And notice the language, becoming this, not doing this, but actually being the man that you desire. One of my mentors told me this, and I'll never forget it. He said, don't desire $1 million. Desire being the type of person that can make $1 million. Because if you just desire $1 million, someone can give it to you and you'll lose it all and you'll never get it back. But when you become the person that can make $1 million, even if you lose it all, you can get it back again. Because it's in your being that you have the power to manifest. It's in your being that you have the power to execute. It's in your being that you're able to be successful. You have to be before you do. And who are you? Where is the vision? Can you articulate within your own mind who you are? Can you see it? Not just speak it like with voice, but can you actually see yourself being that man? Look, let's take it a step further. When you envision yourself as that man, do you feel like you're lying? That shows that you don't have a clarity in vision. And it happens to all of us because sometimes our dreams are so much bigger than our reality that when we start to envision ourselves in that space, in the beginning, we feel nervous. We feel like that can never be me. That's never been me. And you're right, that's never been you. But who says it can't be you? Who says that you can't be what you're seeing? Who said that if you clarify that one that you won't wake up actually physically seeing what you've been seeing inside your head the whole time? But you can never measure your success if your vision is not clear. So here's the thing about fear. Faith and fear is the same thing in opposite spectrums, in opposite sides. In other words, how we use the word faith, let me put it that way. How we use the word faith is typically in our ability to see a good thing and walk in that. Fear, the ability to see the bad thing and walk in that. And so a lot of people use their fear to make decisions. In other words, they're not choosing what they want. They're trying to choose what they don't want. That's not clear vision. Because we can go down a list of the don'ts all day. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be accepted. I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to fail. I don't. Well, what do you want? So this is how you can inverse that. I don't want to be alone. What's the inverse? I want companionship. What does that look like? That's vision. Because if you just stop at I want companionship, you can get anybody. You could just find anybody, become friends with them, and boom, you got a companion. But that's not really what you want. There's a type of companionship you're looking for. That's vision. I don't want to be a failure. Okay, what's the inverse? I want to be successful. What does that look like? How are you measuring success? What would have to happen in your being and in your life where you can sit back and say, you know what? I am successful. See, if my goal is to lose 20 pounds and I lose 15 pounds, I was successful in losing weight, but I wasn't successful in meeting my goal. Now, is there a net positive? Absolutely. That's the beauty about vision. Because even if you don't hit your goal, you might hit a better place. But if all I say is I want to lose weight, then I'm successful when I lost half a pound. I'm successful when I lost 2 pounds. And the 2 pounds is not as significant in the experience as the 20 pounds would be. But because of my fear, I don't want to get too specific, so I just want to lose weight. We lose 2 pounds, we say, oh, I'm losing weight. Then what do? We want to celebrate and gain all that weight back. No, clarify your vision. See the goal. See it. I'm saying see it. I want you to practice visualization. I want you to sit there and close your eyes and actually submerge yourself internally into that space. If there's a certain house, a certain car, I want you to really sit there and I want you to actually use your imagination. Let me help. Some of you don't have vision because you don't have imagination. Some of you don't have imagination because when you were a child and you was imaginative, you got in trouble, right? Our education system values facts over creativity. And so when you're reading a story and your brain starts going on different tangents in the stories, they want to, diagnose you with some type of condition, ADHD or whatever. They don't want to foster that creativity. But as a boy, you should have that. You should be able to envision, elephants walking on the moon or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter how realistic or unrealistic it is. It's about being able to envision it because everything that we see right now in our society came from a vision. There was a time where an iPhone was science fiction. Wi-Fi was science fiction. Airplanes was science fiction. They're all realities now and everyday living now because those who had a vision never gave up in manifesting what they saw. Even if it sounded crazy, even if everybody else said that's impossible, the fact that I can see it in my mind's eye means it is possible. And at that point, you just got to do the work to manifest the vision. But you can't work on manifesting a vision that's still blurry, that's not clear. You're just being busy, but you're not being productive. And so those fears can cause you to think that there's danger where there is no danger. So what I want you to do is, if you're afraid, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of failure. Okay, how do you mitigate failure? Become successful. It's really that simple. What does success look like? And you go through that pattern. I'm afraid of being alone. Okay, you don't have to be alone. There's things that you could do. I'm afraid of being a bad father. Well, what does a bad father look like? Okay, now inverse that. What does a good father look like to you? And I don't want to hear that, oh, I didn't have a good father, so I don't know what it looks like. That's BS. You don't need to have a good father to know what a good father looks like. If you had the worst father in the world, you can use that as an object lesson to say, okay, what made him bad? He never showed up to my games. He never said, I love you. He never gave me respect. Okay, so when I'm a father, I'm going to show up to as much things as I can. I'm going to let my children know I love them. I'm going to let my son know that I respect you as a man. When your son is 14, 15, you're going to encourage him to walk in that masculinity because you didn't get that. And because you didn't get that, you know what it feels like to not have that. So now you become the father that gives that abundantly. You don't need the example. You just need the vision in your mind's eye. And don't allow that fear to stop you from moving. Whatever you're afraid of, find the inverse, because the solution is in the opposite of your fears. Walk scared if you have to, but keep walking towards your vision. So your voice is really contingent on your vision. The messaging that you bring out to the world depends on how you see yourself. Because how you see yourself is really how you're going to show up in the world anyway, right? This idea of faking it till you making it, I don't believe in that. I believe in practicing until you progress. So I'm not faking it. I'm walking in who I am. And every time I practice being me, I become more of myself. Very different perspective. The fact that you feel like you have to fake it suggests that that's not really you. And if you try to become more of who you're not, you will always fail. That's not you. Let me put it this way. There is a version of you that you haven't been introduced to yet. But you can see it. You can feel it. Now I'm asking you to practice it. The seeing it is the vision. The practicing is the voice. And the more you practice it, the stronger your voice comes, the clearer your vision becomes. So they work in tandem with each other. They are a self-serving cycle where they feed each other. But it starts with first who you see yourself to be. You can never walk in confidence if you see yourself as insecure. In other words, I'm going to give this to you because this is good to me at least. Stop saying I'm insecure. Say I feel insecure, but I'm actually confident in who I am. That addition programs your mind to accept the true self that is you. But if you stop at I'm insecure, then you're identifying with that. And so walking in confidence feels like you're walking outside of yourself. It will never be comfortable. It will never be natural. It will never be you because you said out your mouth, that's not you. You identify with insecurity. So insecurity will always look for a way to manifest. Identify as confident even if you don't feel confident because your feelings are finicky. Your feelings come and go. We're not happy all the time. We're not sad all the time. We're not angry all the time. We're not hungry all the time. We're not horny all the time, right? Our feelings come and go. It's the same thing with insecurities. It's the same thing with confusion. It's the same thing with overwhelming. You're only going to be overwhelmed for a time. When you feel overwhelmed, let me give this to you because a lot of brothers feel overwhelmed. I understand. It's hard being a man in this society. And there's times when you feel overwhelmed. I'm not saying to suppress it. I feel overwhelmed, but I know I'm strong enough to make it through. Oh man, I'm giving y'all, this sounds so cheesy at first. I want to challenge you to put it to practice for 90 days. Yes, a whole 3 months. Put this into practice and watch how your whole energy starts to shift. Watch how you find yourself feeling less of that negativity and walking more in that positivity. That vision starts to become clearer. That voice then becomes more potent. All right. Number 3, villain. I'm going to take my time. You're scared to be the villain. You don't want to be the bad guy. I'm telling you, embrace the villain. Be the bad guy. I'm not telling you to have bad character. I'm not telling you to be abusive. When I say be the bad guy, what I'm saying is be comfortable with being disliked for the greater purpose. Look, a lot of you are failing in life because you know if you was to walk in your true purpose, certain people are going to be offended. You're afraid that certain people are going to judge you, certain people are going to misunderstand you, and you don't want to be the bad guy. I want to help you here. You're never really the bad guy. They just don't like the fact that they can't manipulate you and control you and keep you in a box. They don't like it. So they demonize your development and you buy into it. If you can practice embracing the villain for the greater cause, meaning I got my vision, I got my voice, I know it's good. So if anybody else has a problem with it, I don't have a problem being the bad guy in their story. The success that you will experience when you stop being the pushover and the doormat for everybody else's life. How many times have you answered the phone to be a good friend for somebody else, only for you to lose sleep? Now you're not even at your best the next day. And not only that, they didn't even take your advice. They did what they wanted to do anyway. But because you don't want to be the bad guy, when they call again, you answer again. And you give them the advice again. You give them the shoulder again. And now you're tired again. And you're drained again. But you're the good guy. You're their best friend. They can depend on you. So you're the good guy in their story, but the villain in your own life. How are you going to be more committed in being good for them, but not being good for yourself? That's why you're failing. Sometimes you have to embrace the fact that they're not going to like the fact that I can't hang out. They're not going to like the fact that I'm not as available as I used to be. Sometimes you have to accept the fact that, yeah, my girl's going to think I'm kind of boring right now, or that I'm stingy because we're not spending money like I used to. Sometimes you got to be okay with your kids saying, dang, dad don't get it. Dad, he's putting too much pressure on me. Sometimes you have to embrace being the villain because for you, I'm talking to you. Look, don't compare yourself to Diddy. Don't compare yourself to Tory Lanez. Don't compare yourself to whoever you think is the bad guy. I'm talking about you. The you who knows that you don't have ill intentions for your goals. The you who knows that you don't have ill intentions for your vision. I'm talking about you. You know that you're not out here trying to be a menace. So if they misunderstand you right now, let them have it. Look, I'll share this story with you. I remember the first time I liberated myself spiritually. The first time that I realized that I was walking in what I would call colonial Christianity. When I was trying so hard to be the good Christian that they told me I had to be. There was a point where I realized the version of Christian that they wanted me to be, it wasn't working for my life. I was still broke. I had no peace. I had no fun. But I got a lot of accolades because I sounded like them and I looked like them and I walked like them and I defended their position. But the moment I said, no, I need to know God for myself outside of the version that they created, the peace that I was looking for, the empowerment that I was looking for, it all came to me. But now they're looking at me funny because now I am the walking cognitive dissonance that they have to deal with. I'm okay with that. Pray for me if you want. Call me lost if you want. I've never been more free in my life. And part of that freedom came from me being willing to embrace my villain. I'll be the villain in your life. I'll be the villain in your story. That's fine. Tell everybody that I'm lost. You can do that. If you only knew how free I was. Not only am I free, I help so many other people become free by being authentically me. And that's always been my purpose. When I was walking like them, I want to help other people be free. But I couldn't free them while I was in chains. Look, for those of you who really grew up in the church, now some of you just gonna go over your heads, but just bear with me. Those of you who grew up in the church, there used to be a saying that said, I'm just a beggar trying to show another beggar where to get bread. And I used to say that all the time. One day I woke up and said, that's stupid. Why don't I get the bread, then go back to the beggars and say, hey, I got bread over there. Look, here's the bread that I got. Why should I remain a beggar with them? Because then wherever the bread is, it's just theory. If I know the bread is there, why didn't I go get it? These are some of the ideas that I got in the colonial Christianity, the colonized Christianity, where it kept me in this lower vibration, but I'm expecting to get to heavenly places. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So once I realized, no, I can go get bread and I can come back and feed the people. And not just feed the people, but tell them, hey, you see this bread that I'm passing out? I give it freely because I know the supplier. I found the baker. I've been there. I watched them bake it. It's good bread. Eat it for yourself, and let me show you where you can get your own. But for some people, that makes me the villain. I embrace it. I'll be the bad guy in your story. Because guess what? The bad guy in your story doesn't make me the bad guy in real life. It's only in your head. So you can paint me as the bad guy. You're only limiting yourself. I could show you a thing or two. And I'm asking you to embrace that. Be the bad guy. Be the friend who's not available. Be the friend who won't go on trips because they save the money. Be the friend who focuses more on their business than their pleasure. Be the guy. Be the guy who tells their girl, we're not going out tonight because we went out already. And it's going to be okay. We sit inside the house and play cards. Let her mope around. Let her feel away. But watch how she starts to respect you when you stand your ground. Because what happens is when people see that you can stand your ground against them, they can trust that you can stand your ground against other people. Y'all not really hearing me. When you are a pushover, you're untrustworthy. How can anybody trust you when you're so easily manipulated? How can anyone have their confidence in you when all it takes is somebody calling you a bad guy for you to switch your position and change your stance? Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm charging you to be done with trying to please everybody. I'm going to say this too. If you're pleasing everybody, you're pleasing nobody. Nobody who's ever been successful is liked by everybody. Nobody who has made their mark in history has no enemies, has no haters. One of my mentors told me this. He said, if nobody is giving you opposition, then you're not making enough impact. In other words, you have to be somebody's villain to truly be the hero that you desire to be. So I'm not saying be bad character. I'm saying don't let other people tell you what good character is. Man, if you can get this, your whole life will change. And it goes back to this fear thing. You're afraid that people are going to isolate you. Don't be afraid of that. When you walk in your true purpose and you're comfortable being the villain, not only will you not be isolated forever, you might go through a season. You might need to go through a season because what I've learned is you have to lose friends to make friends. You only have but so much time and resources. Some people have to go so other people can come in. You ever been to the club and it was at full capacity and that line is long? Yeah, nobody in that line can get in until somebody gets out. And sometimes the reason why your network is not growing because you're trying to be the hero in everybody else's life. You're trying to be the hero in people's lives that really don't even care about you. It's weird. Come on, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you because you know what I'm talking about. You'll answer the phone every time and they don't even answer the phone for you. You'll give money every time and they won't even buy you a meal. You'll lose sleep and they will wake up and text you and say, my bad, dog, I was asleep. You trying to be this pushover and call it a good guy. That's not a good guy. That's not a good guy. So if for you being the villain means prioritizing your purpose, then embrace being the villain. If for you being the villain means standing 10 toes down on your position, then embrace being the villain. When you can adopt the villain mentality, Watch how successful you become. Why are you so concerned about how other people perceive you? We're wired to be social creatures. We're wired to expect a tribe. But that's just it. The world now is global. We were not wired to care about the perceptions of thousands or millions of people, not even hundreds of people. We were wired to care about the perception of 10, maybe 20 folks at max. So our wiring says socialization is important. Our society has expanded to the point that we can socialize with the globe. And so now you put something out, let's say on social media, and you get a whole lot of negative feedback. Notice who's giving you the negative feedback. It's rarely ever anybody that's close to you. It's rarely ever anybody that actually knows you and supports you. It's these people that are on the fringes. But our wiring says, if I'm connected to them, then they must be tribe. They're not tribe. They're bystanders. They're outsiders that you're treating like they're actually important. Not to mention, our wiring looks at socialization as a form of survival. So if we were living, back in the archaic days, you could not survive by yourself because you can only do so much, right? We needed to work together. We needed somebody to build, somebody to fish, somebody to farm, somebody to take care of the kids, somebody to tell stories and keep history going. We needed each other. And I'm not saying we don't need each other now. But what I'm saying is some people that you think you need, you don't need them in your life. And you're working so hard to keep people that you should really let go. That's really what I'm saying. And so our wiring convinces us that if they see me negatively, then they'll abandon me. And if they abandon me, then I won't survive. I want to give you a different affirmation. I want to give you something different where you can tell yourself, they've abandoned me, but I've accepted me. And then I want you to be honest. Not only have you accepted you, there's at least 2 or 3 other people who've accepted you as well. Why aren't you prioritizing those relationships? Not the 20, 30, 40. Look, everybody wants followers. They want to grow their following count. That's cool. But why are you going to grow your followers at the expense of being authentic to yourself? Because then who are they really following? Who are they really engaging with? You feel validated in the moment when you're getting all of this positivity, but deep down inside, this is exhausting. And what are you really gaining from that, right? So what I'm saying is we care about other people's perceptions because we really think that what they think matters. What they think doesn't matter. If you're married and you have a wife, I'm hoping that you did the work to determine that she loves you for you. But she can't love you for you if you spent the whole dating experience trying to convince her to just love you. All right, I got to say it another way because somebody missed that one. You bought more flowers than you should have bought. You went out to eat more often than you should have. You sacrificed more priorities than you should have. You want to show her that you're available to her, that you care for her. So you did more than you were supposed to, and she fell in love with the pushover, not the person. She don't even know you, dog. And at some point, you forgot who you were. And now you feel a way when you're trying to get some me time, and she says you're switching up. She ain't wrong. You did switch up because you was afraid to be the villain. What I've learned is that if you are authentically yourself, and this is coming from a man who has been married at this point for 17 years, been with the same woman for 20 years. We were friends. I've known my wife for 22 years. When we were friends for the first 2 years, she knew me. I wasn't trying to impress her. She knew exactly the type of person that I was, good, bad, all of it. When we started dating, she knew exactly who she was dating. And you know what I did? I kept that same energy. Because if she saw me as the villain when I'm being myself, she's not fit to be my wife. And when you have that perspective, You start to shed off all the people that are nothing more than distractions. When you embrace the villain, you really get rid of all those people that are leeches who want to capitalize off of you but don't really care about you. Get rid of them. When you're authentic, when you're your authentic self, the only people that will see you as the villain are the people who don't mean you good anyway. Those who really love you will never see you as the villain. They'll see you as the true hero that you are, except for when you're truly messing up. And that's a whole other conversation that we could get into, because you need accountability. But you don't need people to be accountable to you for their standards. You need them to be accountable to you for your standards. Because everybody got a vision for your life and how you should live. None of that matters. You want the people around you where if you tell them, hey, dog, I'm trying to start this business, I'm trying to launch this business, and they hear you say that, whether they believe you can do it or not, they're going to check on you and say, hey, dog, did you start that business yet? Hey, how come you ain't start the business plan? Hey, dog, where's the marketing? Hey, why have you said you need them to hold you accountable for your own standards, not their standards. Be the villain. When you tell someone this is what you want to do and they say, I don't think that's a good idea, you ask them why, and it has everything to do with what they think, be the villain in their life. Don't switch up to appease them. Stay true to yourself. Now, if you tell somebody this is what I want to do, they say, I don't think that's a good idea. Why? And they're speaking about who you are, and what they're saying is true to who you know yourself to be, going back to vision. Then you can say, you know what, I need to consider that. You don't got to necessarily be a villain in them. At the same time, don't let them trap you. Listen to me. Don't let them trap you at the version that they met you. Because we're always evolving. Oh, this is good. I'm so glad we're going here. Some people think you're the villain because you're not the same person you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You've evolved, and they were comfortable when you were stagnant. Be the villain in their life. Let them be mad. Let them be uncomfortable, especially if you know that you are evolving into the person that you intended to be from day one. Be the villain in their life. Being the villain means you ain't justifying nothing to them. I'm not saying you're not having conversation. They're a close friend, you having conversation. But the moment you realize they're committed to trapping you at the version that they met you, I don't got to explain nothing to you. You're going to be mad. And you either going to get with the program or you can go home. Be the villain. I promise you you'll have friends. I promise you you'll have support. I promise you that you'll have a network. But most importantly, I promise you that you will be successful. When you are afraid to be the villain, meaning that you're afraid to be your authentic self, you build resentment against the people who have no control over you. You feel like it's their fault that you can't be you. No, it's your fault that you can't be you, because you're giving them power that they don't really have. So embracing the villain is empowering you to be your authentic self. So I don't have resentment with my friends because I really want to do this, but my friends will look at me funny, so I'm not going to do it. And now I'm hating my friends because I feel like it's their fault that I'm not being me. Why would you go through life like that? Embrace the villain so you can be your authentic self, and it avoids unnecessary resentment with other people. Like how many times have you blamed your significant other for not having the fun that you want to have, or not fulfilling the purpose that you want to fulfill, or not, being as consistent as you want to be, because every time you try to be consistent, she asks you to do something. You say, okay, because you want to be the good husband, when you could say, not right now. It ain't even a no. It's like, I can't do that now because I'm doing this, but I'm going to get to that. And she's like, you never put me first, da-da-da-da. Be the villain. Because here's the thing, and this is a hard truth for married people especially. When it works out in the end, you're going to be the hero. So if you got to be the villain for a season so you can be the hero for a lifetime, I think that's a better choice. But when you try to be that pushover, that good guy for a season, and it doesn't work out, and now you're a villain for the rest of the relationship, and you're going to blame her. You're going to say, well, I did that because you said. Stop. I'm telling you right now, don't even go down that path. Right now, If you've never heard it before, you're hearing it now. Be the villain. Then you can't blame nobody else for where your life ends up.